To protect the sheep, you got to catch the wolf. And it takes a wolf to catch a wolf. You understand?
On part one of today's episode, Jordo talks Super Bowl, BDC brings up his excitement for the new Fantastic Four film, and BDC lists off his top 5 films with African American leads to celebrate Black History Month.
Oh, hello, BDC. You ready for another podcast episode of XYZ?
I am very stoked. I'm really excited for this episode.
You could not wait to get started.
I know.
You're,
Oh yeah, definitely. I was so itching to go. There's so much that happened last week, and I know we can't fit it all into this one episode, but I'm gonna choose the most exciting thing for me.
yeah, well, I'll share what I'm stoked about. The Super Bowl was yesterday, and I'm just so glad that the Chiefs did not three-peat. I think that was what I was rooting for the most was the Eagles stopping them from doing that and just annoying the heck out of the country. Like I'm tired of seeing Kelsey, Mahomes, and yeah, it's just been too much. We needed a change. We needed a new regime.
And I am happy for the Eagles winning, and my hope was the Eagles would win. My prediction was the Chiefs were gonna win for some reason. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad I'm wrong about that. Patrick Mahomes going for a three-peat or a three in a row would have been historically amazing. But the fun part was listening to Tom Brady talk about back in his day when he had these challenges. And I was like, everything was a Tom Brady show. But there were so many things that happened during the Super Bowl that were just as entertaining as, well, I guess the game wasn't as entertaining, but it was a lot of fun to just see all the hype around it. And plus the Kendrick Lamar performance was pretty cool to me. I'm a big
Oh yeah.
fan.
That was great. The entire crowd singing A minor
Oh my gosh, that is
dead.
just oh, it was
Even
so cool.
even my Canadian friend was like, "That's crazy that everyone was singing along to a diss track at the Super Bowl."
I know the diss track that's also a Grammy winner and Grammy decorated artist this year with 5 Grammys for Kendrick Lamar. And then the whole state. Oh my gosh, it was too much. But hey, you know what? This is America. Anything can happen.
Yeah. The one thing I did not do yesterday was turn the TV off. Turn the TV off.
Yeah. Some good commercials. I guess, it was just a typical Super Bowl. Nothing really excited me, but it was just fun to watch. It was just fun to chill, eat food, hang out with family. That was most important to me.
The most tense moment from that Super Bowl had to be Tom Cruise's introduction with the Mission Impossible music subtly playing in the background.
Oh, yeah, that was exciting. That got me
You
hyped
notice
for that.
that?
Yeah, that got me hyped. That's what we talked about as a family. I said, wait, are we going to see this in the theater? We have to. But honestly, that was the first time I started seeing Tom's age a little bit.
Mm,
Uh, you know,
yeah.
so it's crazy. I mean, he still looks great for his age, but he's been looking like he was 30 for about 30 years. So, and now he's 60 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Even Brad Pitt too, when I saw the commercial with Brad Pitt, it's like, oh, he's now an old actor.
Yeah. I liked his. It was very patriotic and very
Mhm.
motivating, sport wise. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah.
I will say the party I was at, there was a big group of guys that were excited when the white cornerback Cooper DeJean got a pick six. They were like, "White cornerback, the first since 2004."
Oh wow, that's funny. Well, hey, you got to be proud of your people, I guess. I mean, you guys haven't had much success in history.
I don't know. Just excited for, representation in the
No,
cornerback
for sure,
position.
for sure. I know. I think it's a huge deal. I don't know. As for me, like the most exciting thing other than Super Bowl was the release of the Fantastic Four trailer, Fantastic Four First Steps. So
Hmm.
when I saw that trailer, I know it was only a teaser, but first of all, I am super hyped for it. I feel like it's just what Marvel needs to just break out of
Hmm.
their funk. Great casting with Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and then uh Eben Moss Backrack as the Thing.
Yeah.
Like everything about it for me looks great and a very comic book accurate, and the style, the
Hmm.
suits look great, and it just gave me like that Jetsons vibe,
Oh
which is
yeah.
I love that, and it was very wholesome feeling, and I'm so hyped for it, and it's gonna be a very crowded summer box office with that film being like one of them. But I don't know. Did you see the trailer or the
Oh
teaser?
yeah. Oh yeah. I saw. Well, I like it because teasers are the new trailers, right? Like that was a 2-minute teaser.
I
Like, let's
know.
be real.
Yeah.
I agree with what you said. It felt very 60s. It felt like in the MCU multiverse, like it was a just a different future, a
Yeah.
different universe. Um, very 60s, Jetsons, like you said. It kind of had that vintage kind of like almost like a filter, like a 60s filter,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
tint.
That little like brownish sheen over the screen.
Yeah, it felt like you
Yeah.
were watching television like in Back to the Future a little bit.
Yet it's one of those like retro current futuristic vibe. And so I love it because
Yeah.
it's just so contrasting. And no, check this out though. I was talking to a friend and he updated me on some of the stats regarding that trailer. So this shows the hype. And I never thought Fantastic Four would be exciting to people other than Marvel fans, but since it was debuted, that teaser debuted, 200 million views within the first 24 hours. That makes
Hmm.
it the third most viewed trailer within 24 hours since Deadpool and Wolverine with 365 mil and Spider-Man No Way Home with 355 mil.
Yeah.
So there's a lot
And
of engagement.
yeah, I just wanted to say too, this trailer made it feel like the Fantastic Four were more of a family, and they are known as Marvel's first family
Yeah,
of heroes.
I like that one of the things they mentioned is like, yeah, we have dinner every night. And I think
Mhm.
that's, I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I'm not saying anything about America currently, but I know with technology, iPads, iPad kids, Netflix, we're all connected to these screens. And I think America needs something. It's funny because we have to watch a screen to see a family, but we can see an actual family be successful, hopefully successful, and just be kind of an inspiration in a superhero sense and also a realistic sense. Because I think there's an element of Americana that wants to return to that
Mm,
because everything's so fast paced, and I think that's an opportunity to like bring that idea back into the pop culture instead of
right.
everyone hustling, bustling, moving around. But I have one prediction. Can I say my prediction?
Sure. And then I want to ask you a question.
Okay. So at the very end of the trailer, we got to see the shadow of Galactus
Hmm.
like looming over the city. So obviously it looks like that is a different universe where the Fantastic Four lives in this retro present day future. And
Hmm.
my prediction is that that Galactus scene is the very end of the film where he literally destroys their world. And that's how
Mm,
we get the Fantastic Four into the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Disney.
interesting.
So that's what I think. I think that would be the best because I did read an article somewhere where the reason why the Avengers were so successful, as well as Spider-Man, is because they failed in the films. They had like they lost. And the thing is
Mm,
you always want to root for that underdog. And so far so many of the superheroes have been OP. We
yeah.
need we need more of those. Oh man, wait, how are we
Yeah.
going to beat Galactus as the Fantastic Four? No, we need to like our world is destroyed. We're connecting with Spider-Man and Captain Marvel and I mean everything. Like I just think there's so much you can do, and especially if we could add them to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think they may be a part of that Secret Wars that everyone's talking
We'll
about.
see.
All right. So,
Yeah, I gotta ask my question before we
yeah.
move on
Yeah,
is
let's go.
have you seen the Fantastic Four movies that came out before, like with Miles
Oh,
Teller or Jessica
yes.
Alba?
Yes, I'm a big fan of the first. The
Oh, me
sequels
too.
weren't as good. It's just
No.
like it just got really bad. But Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, I never before he became Captain America, that was the only I could only see him as Johnny Storm. As whether what's his name? Human Torch.
Yeah, the Human
And
Torch.
I was so confused when he became Captain America afterwards, because I mean that was a Fox thing, and then he got signed by
Yeah.
so Marvel, and I don't know. I the first one was really good, gave me that vibe, but I have a feeling this one with Pedro Pascal, I was kind of nervous
Hmm.
about him being cast as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, but so far, even though we didn't see his superpowers yet in the teaser, I do think he's going to be. I mean, he's good in everything, I guess. I mean, I'll watch him read like the phone book. I mean, he's good in Game of Thrones. He's great in Last of Us. He's everything he's in. He was great in was that Narco? With the chase for like was the
I haven't seen it.
yeah. So what's the name of that cocaine dealer from
Like
Colombia?
Breaking Bad? No.
No, he was in that thing called Narcos.
Oh yeah, I've heard of
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. So
sure.
it was pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, I did see those, and Jessica Alba, top tier. I just love
Yeah.
her.
I think the casting's good. I am skeptical of Pedro Pascal's age, but at the same time, I'm assuming that just because of how good of an actor he is, that his audition, they just couldn't say no.
Yeah, you could.
He's just
Yeah.
too good.
Well, and in the Doctor Strange multiverse of madness, they had John Krasinski as Reed Richards in one of the
Oh,
multiverses, and I thought that was okay. I
it's
mean,
fan service.
yeah, it was fan service because that's what they were asking for. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I would have been okay with that too. But I think this gives an element of acting. So
Hmm.
can I introduce this next section?
Yeah, of course. It's yours.
All right. So being that it's February, it's Black History Month. Uh, you know, Jordo and I had this discussion of like, naming our top five films featuring an African American lead. And I felt like this was the perfect time to do it. And it's close to Oscar season. And I'm sure, at least I know one or two of my films has some Oscar nominees or winners in them. So I think this is going to be a cool segment for our listeners.
Yeah, okay. I'm down. Let's start with your list, your top five. I want to
Uh,
hear your
my
hot
list.
takes.
Okay, okay. And that's okay if you say you've never seen them, but for number five,
Okay.
this it is the film or the movie Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, main actor Ice Cube and supporting actor Chris Tucker. And although this film did not win any major awards, it did launch these two into the film industry in terms of comedic. Because I mean, Ice Cube had his I think his debut in Boys in the Hood, which was a drama. But yeah, when he took lead in Friday, I think as a teenager in the 90s, it was the funniest movie I've ever seen. And I've never seen a film with that, like the viewpoint from the hood, and
Mhm.
just that fact that they're just people living their regular lives.
Yeah. Well, that is not a movie that I have seen.
Oh wow, okay, that's cool. We will have a bro night where we have to choose two films that the other guy has not seen, and then we'll spend a whole day watching it.
I'd be down.
Yeah, and Friday will be one of mine, I guess. I want to see if you'll laugh. Um, so number
Hmm.
four,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you've seen this one because you are a film snoot. Uh, Training Day from 2001,
Hmm.
by director Antoine Fuqua, main actor Denzel Washington, and supporting actor Ethan Hawke, who did an amazing job in it. But Denzel steals the show and he won the best actor for his portrayal of Detective Alonzo Harris, just because before that film, everyone was like, "Oh, everything Denzel's in, he's always a good guy. Like, he never does anything bad." And then this was the first time we actually got to see a complicated character where we saw a side of him that we can relate to, but then also the charisma and how corrupt he can be in a respectful job like a cop or a detective.
Yeah. Well, do you have a question?
Oh yeah, have you seen it?
Oh, I have seen it actually. I, man, that movie gave me anxiety. That was a really stressful movie.
It was very stressful, and yeah, just especially looking at it through Ethan Hawke's character, Detective Hoyt, where he had to like he just thought he was just being razzed or just like this is how you learn how to be part of the crew, and he was doing whatever he said. But anyways, like I just it's such a cool, complex anti-hero where you saw that there was good in him prior to him just completely losing it to
Hmm.
the darkness of being on the street. So the number three film that
Well,
I chose.
hold
Oh,
on.
okay, go
I
ahead, go
still have,
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
think we need to elaborate more discussing these movies.
Oh,
Now,
hey,
you
okay,
have this movie at number four, which
sure,
is fair. I've seen the movie.
okay,
Denzel won the Oscar,
uh-huh,
right,
yeah,
for his acting.
okay,
I mean, gosh, you just wanted to punch the dude in the face. I mean, you could see over the course of the movie Hawk's character's frustration and just anxiety over this character because he's technically his boss. He's kind of morally stuck
yeah,
because he cares about being a cop and it's his first day
yeah.
and he doesn't know any better, so he gets pulled along for the ride. And
I know
yeah.
we've all been in that situation where are we, is this right? Like, and the best part about Ethan Hawke, and this is not a spoiler or anything, but he comes into this with good intentions to protect the public, to be the hero. Like he wanted to be a true cop, but Denzel makes him question that. And that's part of the like why this film is such great quality because it we can relate to Ethan Hawke where most of us want to do what's right, but then we felt like, well, Denzel was kind of, Denzel's character, Detective Alonzo Harris was like would tell us the truth of the streets, that street knowledge, and you're like,
Hmm.
well, I guess I could see that, but I know it's number four. But remember, these are top five of a lot of films with
And
so
yeah.
and but this one I have to put it number four just because the other three I don't know I now now you're making me question because I feel like I want to flip one, but I'm gonna commit because at number three I have Denzel again in Ridley Scott's American Gangster, which
What?
yep, no, okay,
What?
okay, hold on, let me get my
What movie is that?
let me explain. Okay. Let me get my spiel out and then you can just grill me on it. Okay. Denzel Washington uh is the main actor and then supporting actor Russell Crowe as his opposite, his op as a detective Richie Roberts. Uh Major awards. This film was actually nominated for several Academy Awards, including Best Supporting Actress by Ruby Dee and Best Art Direction, and he received numerous accolades, including Golden Globe nominations. The reason why I like this film is, well, first of all, it has Denzel, and I got locked in on Denzel from Training Day, and so I wanted to see him in another villain role. And so him as a top gangster in the heroin trade, and this is based on a true story uh and just seeing him go through the process of rising up in a Scarface type manner and just looks so cool doing it. Had great 70s, 80s music, and just watching the cat and mouse game between Russell Crowe's, you know, down on his luck detective who lost his son in a custody battle with his wife because he was sleeping with his lawyer, stuff like that. And all he cares about is his job. So he lost his family, but then he gets locked in trying to catch Denzel's character, Frank Lucas, because he was putting the purest heroin on the street called Blue Magic, and also like selling cocaine and going up against all the other gangsters. And here's why, another reason why. Because of this film, it was like it just solidified Denzel Washington for me. And don't get me wrong, I am an OG Denzel from Glory with Matthew Broderick. when he was just like a supporting actor as one of the slaves who fought for the North. But he just shows the ruthless ambition, but also have that vulnerability where, he kills a guy 1 second and then he's loving his mom the next and playing with his kids the next. And that was super interesting. I couldn't imagine trying to act that out. And I just that film was so good, and it was inspired by the very OG American gangster film, like from the 30s or something like that. But it's great. It's super great. I love it.
Okay. Can I react?
Go ahead, please.
So this is a movie that actually is on my watch list. Probably because you made me put it on there. I'm
Okay.
gonna guess because I have forgotten about this movie,
Yeah.
despite it being a very generic and obvious title. I just have a couple questions though, since we're tying this into
Yeah, go for it.
Black History Month and focusing on African American leads. Why, we've touched on it a little bit, but I want to dig a little deeper, like why this is significant in just the history of Black actors in film or Black films overall. What is it about these movies that you think is important to either study, watch, remember? What's
Uh,
the messaging?
I think it for me it was like since the 90s. I know that in the 70s there were a lot of black exploitation films where they were taking advantage of the stereotypes of the African American public and then turning it into entertainment. But I think towards the late 90s into the 2000s, we started respecting more and more, and Denzel being one of the frontmen in this in the acting game that showed like the quality of acting and the fact that they can portray complex characters, and not that they couldn't do that in the past, because we've seen it like Lawrence Fishburne as Othello. All There's a lot of actors out there that preceded Denzel, but just the fact that he can come out and if Denzel was in a film, you always expect it to be great. And I feel like him being a leader in that. And he said this one quote too, like that inspired me when he won the Oscar for Training Day. He says, when someone tells you to like, I can't remember the quote exactly, but he says something about everyone tells you aim high, but find out what your fallback is. He goes, don't think about a fallback. I want you to fall forward. And I thought that quote kind of inspired me to kind of like lock in on Denzel after that. But just overall quality act, he was a masterclass.
Well, I can't wait to hear what two and one are.
Oh my God. Two might be a disappointment to you, but one is definitely, you can't say it's a disappointment. So, number two, in 2005, Terrence Howard plays a pimp who tries to get into the rap game. And this film is called Hustle and Flow. And it won the Academy Award for Best Original Song. It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp. Terrence Howard also received widespread praise, earning Golden Globe nominations. And I love it because it's a gritty portrayal of someone on the streets trying to figure out a way to make it out of the streets, which is the story that has been repeated since time immemorial. I don't know if I said that right. Since the beginning of hip hop, that the goal was to tell the story of the streets in order to get out of the streets through hip hop entertainment, rap music, music, and things like that. And so that film made me a huge fan of Terrence Howard because when I watched that, and I was like, I just couldn't believe that that they had a performance Hard Out Here for a Pimp on the Oscars. Because I saw the horror in the eyes of a lot of the Caucasian audience. They're like, what is this? This is, like it was like introducing something that people were not used to, but it was important to the film. And so that gave film goers moving forward to take more risks and appreciate more than just the script. We have to also appreciate the soundtracks and the complex characters, things like that.
Hmm.
Questions, Mr. Amrine?
I'm
I
sorry, I'm in shock. I'm
I could sense
slowly
disappointment,
recovering.
but you still respect you. I know you respect me, so I know I'm a different point of view. I'm more of like a pop culture guy in the streets, and I can't wait to hear yours. And I wonder if I've even seen any of the films you chose. So I'm
I
excited to
I
hear you.
thought I thought we'd have overlap. Like I feel guilty now. Because I have to say my honorable mentions now because I could not narrow it down to five, and I was hoping you would cover for
Yeah.
some of what I left out, but
All right. Let me. Do you want me to
I
get to
I
number
don't
one first?
I don't have any of this on my list. Like why hustle and flow at two? I just need to know why.
Well, it was very, like I said, it's an inspirational film with a gritty exterior. Like most people aren't going to follow a story of a pimp in a house full of prostitutes, one of which he's impregnated, trying to make it out of the hood and try to make it, yeah, like be popular. And that's the typical story of like the hip hop game. You working in the streets, you tell your story, and hopefully one day you and your crew get out of it and make a little end. So I don't know. It's I listen to a lot of hip hop. I know you don't. So that's probably why. Like I hear a lot of these stories through Notorious B.I.G., through Tupac, through Too Short, and I listen to a lot of N.W.A. things like that. So that's probably why, because hip hop is such an important part of my
Hmm.
personal life, especially growing up in Long Beach, California, and when I came to Washington, Bremerton was pretty gritty as well before I moved to nice old Port Orchard and Gig Harbor. Um, but
I will say the movies you've chosen are not they're not getting bad reviews, and
you're checking me out. Okay,
I
okay.
am checking.
I like this. I like this.
So
I appreciate it. And
I think it's just because a lot of the movies you're picking, I mean, I wasn't old enough to watch a lot of these movies when they came
for
out.
sure, that's understandable. But now, through the old man on the podcast, you're introduced to some films, and maybe you should give it a try. I mean, it's cool. So number one, because I cannot wait to get to your list, because I can't wait to go. What movie is that? You're gonna be like something of the Serengeti or something. I'll be like, what film is that? I don't.
There's no movie with that title.
Okay, my number one film, my favorite film. I mean, all five of these could be like my number one. I chose five that I really loved.
Can I
Uh,
pause and just say it better be what is either in my top five or in my honorable mentions?
okay,
I will riot if it's not.
okay. Fair enough. Uh, so after I go through my number one, I'll get your takes, and then we'll take a little bit of a break, and then restart your section. Okay.
For sure.
Okay. So my number one film. I think this has to be in your top five or honorable mentions. Boys in the Hood. Are we in? Are we in?
No,
No, what?
no.
How do you not have Boys in the
Oh,
Hood? Okay.
again, that's so 90s.
Oh, well,
It's very obvious that you were raised in the
yeah,
90s.
and it's very obvious I'm Gen X, right? So here we go. My spiel on Boys in the Hood has my boy Cuba Gooding Jr., supporting actor Ice Cube in his debut as an actor, and the major awards. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, including Best Director for John Singleton, the youngest and first African American to be nominated for that category. African History Month, right there. That's a huge moment right there. And the film also won the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Motion Picture. Now, the reason why I like this is because it's a landmark film in African American cinema that portrays the lives of these young black men in South Central Los Angeles. And I used to live in Long Beach. It brought attention
Really?
to the systemic issues in gang violence, where when we were young, we romanticized the gang violence when it was down in California.
Mhm.
They drugs and the impact of the family structure in and black communities. And I gotta tell you, and I will check my time here, but the opening scene where we see Trey's father, his name is Furious, and he's played by Lawrence Fishburne. He delivers an impactful lecture on the dangers of face that we're facing young black men and the problems that they face in terms of racism and systemic racism, as well as just like the problems in their community, the problems with their own family structures, right? The problems with the things that they tend to focus on instead of, like in most suburbs, we focus on going to school. You do great. You play sports. You do music. You go to college. Over there, it's like, can you get out of this town alive?
Hmm.
So go ahead.
Okay. It's not a bad pick. It's really not. But when I look at my list, we go in totally different directions.
I
And
love it.
I
This is
think
great.
I think we shouldn't have limited ourselves to 5 movies. I really don't think so, because Boys in the Hood is a movie that is pop culturally relevant, and I'm embarrassed I haven't seen it yet. But it's just not something that was popular. I wasn't born when it was released, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't have the sort of peer influence of going to the movies and seeing it when it first comes out, when it first came out.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what movies you chose. But I mean, I do recommend that you watch it because like a lot of the issues you hear about in this film are the same issues we heard during the Black Lives Matter movement and George Floyd
Right.
and the riots that were happening in Minnesota. Like those were the same. The funny thing is, it's like not funny, but sad but true was just that the issues were still happening. They're still existing. That
Right.
and this is something that happened. Like it came out in 1991. I was
Hmm.
11 when it came out.
Yeah. And the ways in which history repeats itself, right?
Exactly. But
Wow.
this is I'm stoked. I can't wait
Uh,
to listen to your top five. I
can I just ask, do you have
Yeah,
any honorable mentions before we take a
honorable
break?
mentions. I was thinking about that. Oh, you want to see if I can show up in one of yours? Let's see.
I just want to have hope. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe I list mine and you can say, "Oh yeah, I thought about that movie." Maybe that's what we should do.
Oh, maybe. All right, so let's take a little bit of a potty break, and then we'll be back
Okay.
with Jordo's top five African American led films for
Mhm.
Black History Month. All right, be
Sounds
right back.
good.